25-year-old April Moore is suing former tenant Christopher McDonald for rent, bills, and vandalism to her property. April says Christopher intimidated her by displaying weapons.
Yeah, this is case number 341 on the calendar in the matter of Moore versus McDonald.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Ms. Moore, the defendant was a tenant of yours, according to your complaint, and it is your claim that when you told him to move, he refused to pay rent and then trashed the apartment before he left. You want him to pay for the damage. Mr. McDonald says that you made the place untenable. He couldn't live there. He was forced to move, and he caused no damage to your apartment, right? Mm-hmm. Was this a house or an apartment?
It was a house, Your Honor.
You were renting rooms in the house?
I was renting one bedroom to Chris.
Had you ever done that before?
Yes.
When did you rent the room to Mr. McDonald?
Mr. McDonald moved in on August 15th.
Did he sign a lease?
Yes.
How long was the lease?
It was not for a contractual period. It was a month-to-month agreement.
How did you find him?
I found him. I placed an ad online, which was maybe not the smartest decision in hindsight, but I was trying not to lose my house after my husband left.
What was the rent arrangement, Mr. McDonald?
$400 plus a third of the bills with a $100 security deposit.
So you moved in on August 15th. Did you pay rent for August?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he pay rent for August?
Yes, Your Honor.
What about September?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you move out?
I moved out October 27th, I believe.
Did you pay her October?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because on September, I believe, 24th, I received a call from my godfather stating that he received a call from her. She went into my room and found a BB gun and was panicking about finding a BB gun in my room. I had my actual weapon with me. I have a 9mm in my truck at the time. So I knew it wasn't my 9mm.
Shh. Just a minute. You have a weapon.
Yes, ma'am.
Why do you need a gun?
Basically, it's a Second Amendment right. I'm allowed to own a weapon.
I understand that. Do you have any special need for it?
No, for personal protection.
Okay. So she called you or whatever and said that you found the gun. She was uncomfortable. And so?
And then the next day, I received another call up at work. Apparently, she went into my room for some reason or another. I suspect basically snooping because she found the gun.
Don't tell me what you suspect. Just tell me what the call said and from whom you received it.
From her. She wanted to know why I'm hoarding mass weapons of destruction, was her exact words.
Okay.
Okay. And I told her, basically, I've owned the weapons since I moved in, and that I can discuss this with her when I'm not at work. And at that point, she informed me that, no, it's not up for discussion. I want you out sooner than 30 days. And I just said, okay.
Okay.
So I also let her know that I would not be paying rent due to the fact that I had to put deposits down on an apartment, you know, electrical deposits, you know, all that stuff.
Your Honor, he's lying.
Judge, I know you raised your hand, but I did not acknowledge you to speak.
I apologize.
Mr. McDonald, you have to pay October's rent. Unless your agreement required a 30-day notice, which she didn't give you.
The lease did require a 30-day notice.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Okay. Here's the lease agreement. It also says all roommates will respect others' belongings and privacy.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
I can read. I want to look at one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I may be missing it because I'm reading it quickly. Will you please point out the line where she has to give you 30 days notice? It says you have to give her 30 days notice. Point out the line where she has to give you 30 days notice.
I don't see it in here, Your Honor.
It's not in there, Mr. McDonald. That contract that you signed, and since pretty much you know the law because you know the Constitution, it doesn't say she has to give you 30 days notice.
By Texas state law, she's
Don't tell me
required.
Texas state law. You're not in Texas. So you have to pay her October's rent.
Okay.
It's not her problem that you had to put money down elsewhere. You know, that's the agreement that you signed. You could have put in there, listen, I have to give you 30 days notice. You've got to give me 30 days notice.
I didn't expect her to be psycho.
Then you wouldn't want to live with a psycho, right?
Oh, no.
Very good. So there are alternatives. Go live in a motel if you don't want to live with a psycho, but if you live in a house, you have to pay rent, right? Now, let's talk about the vandalism. Next, let me see pictures of the vandalism.
Yes, Your Honor.
You wanted him out because you felt uncomfortable because of the weapons, Miss Moore?
Yes.
What were you doing snooping around in his room?
I was not snooping. I was trying to prepare my house to get it on the market so that I could sell it.
Miss Moore, that's just fine, sweetheart, as long as you don't rent out parts of your house to somebody else. Then you can't prepare it by going into their room. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor. He was aware that I was going to paint, though.
Listen to me. You can paint. You can do whatever you want. You weren't going into his room to paint.
Yes, Your Honor, I was.
You had your paintbrush all ready to go?
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't believe you.
I did.
Listen.
I did.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I think you went in there and you snooping around.
No, Your Honor, I did not.
Well, that's what happened. You found things in there because you went in there. Okay. So he's got guns and knives. That's what he likes.
Your Honor, those were never displayed until I gave him a notice to vacate, and then he was visually trying to intimidate me with those.
Well, why did you give him a notice to vacate before you saw the weapons?
I gave him a notice to vacate because he was leaving my house unlocked. He was a slob. It was clear that I wasn't going to be able to sell my house with him living in it.
Got it. Is this his room?
Yes.
Is this how he left it, or is this what he was living there?
That's when he was living there.
You get an F for neatness, Mr. McDonald. You get an A for Constitution and F for neatness. Where did you move from? From an apartment, sir?
I actually moved from my uncle's house out in Tonopah, Arizona.
Was he neat? Mm-hmm. Were you sloppy in his house, too?
No, ma'am.
Why were you so sloppy in her house?
Pretty much, I was working close to 16 hours a day with that, and when I got home, honestly, I was tired.
You rented to a slob.
I learned that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The sheriff had to tell her 12 times, where's the handgun?
And his handgun was never removed from the premises. I put it in the garage in a closet because I feared for my safety.
And later today,
The two people who do not have a legally binding contract, like a marriage certificate, to open up a joint bank account is the dumbest thing. Listen out there, youngsters.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. April Moore claims former tenant Christopher McDonald owes for rent, bills, and damage to her home. April says Christopher is obsessed with guns.
Okay. Now, there came a time, according to your complaint, Ms. Moore, that you felt uncomfortable, so you moved out of the house for a while. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
When did you move out?
It's hard to say, it wasn't official. I started staying
October
with
3rd.
my friend Angie here in the beginning of October, end of September. Nobody felt safe with me in the house with him. He's got a criminal record about 12 pages long.
Listen to me.
Yes.
Listen to me. You moved out the end of September, the beginning of October, until they moved out.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You have an estimate for the cleanup of the house?
Yes. I also have bills for the utilities when I was not staying in the house because I feared for my safety.
I'm not interested in those.
Okay.
Give them back
First
to her.
packet. These are receipts for having the house rekeyed and recleaned and...
Do you have his security deposit?
Yes.
Okay, so that takes care of rekeying.
One time. It was rekeyed 3 times, Your Honor.
How many times did you rekey the house, Mr. McDonald?
I rekeyed the house once when I came home and had to call the sheriff due to the fact that I was locked out. And when the sheriffs told her that she needed to give me a key so I can lock the doors, she informed them no, she would not give me a key, and no, she would not return the handgun that she had stolen. The sheriff had to tell her 12 times, where is the handgun? And each time she told him, I'm not going to tell you.
And his handgun was never removed from the premises. I put it in the garage in a closet because I feared for my safety.
Do you have your handgun now, sir?
Not on me.
No, do you have it now?
Yes, ma'am.
I know you wouldn't get in here with it. All right, listen to me, madam. You pay to have the windows cleaned yourself. His problem is not having to re-clean and make your house spick and span. His problem is that he has to take care of the cleaning that's over and above normal wear and tear, and I'm going over these bills very carefully. Who are you living with now, by the way, sir?
I had to get a duplex with Corey, the other roommate.
Is he neat too, or is he a slob?
No, he's neat. But right now, if you walked into our house, it's beautiful.
Her place should have been beautiful too. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $819. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She might have been concerned about who she had rented her room to, but, you know, that's something she should have considered beforehand.
I don't want a criminal living under my roof with a 12-page-long criminal record, including assault on a family member.
I do have a criminal history, not 12 pages long, though.
I don't want that armed and dangerous and in my house with me.
I do have assault, small stuff like that. No felonies, though.
22-year-old Tanya Thomas and her husband Jason are suing Tanya's mother, Kathy McAfee, for making false charges to Child Protective Services.
Yeah, this is case number 575 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas versus McAfee.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
This is your mother, Miss Thomas, is that
Yes,
right?
it is.
And this is your boyfriend?
This is my husband.
When were you married?
February 15th of 2007.
You have one child?
I have a daughter and he has a son.
You have one child.
Yes.
And it is your claim that your mother made false allegations against the two of you to Child Protective Services. You consider that defamation and you want her to be responsible for paying you damages. Your mother says that she really had the primary responsibility for a long time in raising your daughter until recently. And when you married and when you took up residence with Mr. Thomas, she had legitimate concerns over the child's welfare based upon things that the child told her. You and Mr. Thomas were married February 15th?
Mm-hmm.
How old is your daughter?
She's now 3.
How long have you and Mr. Thomas been living together?
Almost about maybe 7 months.
Did your daughter live with your mother?
No, she did not. I lived with my mother for a short time, and her and I lived there together.
When was that?
That was off and on from the time she was born. We lived together from 04 to 05, and then a couple months in 05, and then last March of 06, we moved back into my mom. And I moved out into my brother's house of June of 06.
So you were in and out of your mother's home for substantial periods of time with your daughter?
Yes.
Without Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Were you working?
Off and on I was, yes, I did.
When you were working, who watched your daughter?
I had a friend of mine, her name is Ruthie.
What about your mother? Shh, just a second. I'll get to you in a second. What about your mother? Did she ever watch your daughter?
Yes, off and on.
Of course. When I ask you a question, I'm supposed to get an answer, not what you think you would like the reality to be, but what the actual reality was, Miss Thomas. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
So when you went to work, who watched your daughter?
My mom and
Okay. You get where I'm going? Mm-hmm. Good. Did you leave your mother's house on good terms?
Yes, I did.
Is that right?
Yes, she did.
Good.
And I had Abby at the time. When she moved in with her brother Joe, I still continued to have Abby so that she could work.
In June of 06, Abby, who was the child, was living with you?
Yes.
Until when?
I had sometimes she'd go home on the weekends with her mom, but most of the time I had her Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekends, clear up until Tuesday, September 12th.
What happened on Tuesday, September 12th?
They had Abby for the weekend.
Who's they?
Tanya and Jason. And when I went to set Abby on the potty, because I was potty training her, Abby started crying and jumped off the toilet and held herself. And so I pulled her pants up, I got her something, a snack, and I went out on the swing on our deck and sat there to talk to her. She wanted to play games and sing songs. She didn't want to talk about it anymore. So then when Tanya come on Thursday to pick Abby up, I said, Tanya, have you noticed a difference in Abby's potty training? She said, yes, I want to talk to you about that. She said, when I come home on Saturday, Abby was sitting in her room cross-legged and she was crying. I asked her what happened and she said, Jason. So she said when Jason come out of the bathroom, that he said that Abby was crying because she couldn't get in to go to the bathroom. And I said, well, Tanya, do you think anything with that? And Tanya got mad and she said, no, there you are, your crazy mind and your stupid things, there you go. She got in her car and she left.
That was September 12th?
Yes, well, September 14th.
Okay.
And then on September 15th, she came to pick Abby up. And she kept trying to get Abby to go with her, and Abby wouldn't go with her. And finally, Tanya said, we'll go to McDonald's. And Abby was riding her bicycle, or tricycle, and she said, Mama, you go to McDonald's and bring it back. And so Tanya got Abby and took her home with her. Come Monday, I got sick, and I was sick for 9 or 10 days. And my sister Becky called me from Fort Wayne to know what was going on. I told her. And she said, you need to make a report.
You made a report?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Then
To
you
the police.
thought that there was something that was potentially problematic.
Right.
Okay. The question I have for you, Miss Thomas, is your mother called to make a report to Child Protective Services because of something that your daughter had said to her.
Mm-hmm. My daughter's only 2 at the time.
Doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
She's very smart. I'm sorry.
Doesn't make any difference. I believe that based upon whatever little bits your daughter said to her, your mother had what she perceived to be a legitimate concern. What?
I have paperwork here of the police report that she made that says she waited 2.5 weeks to make this allegation.
Right. She just told me that.
I was sick.
She just told me that, Mr. Thomas.